Warriors don't apologize for breathing. Stop calling them victims. Because the moment you label someone a victim, you've already decided their story ends in defeat. You've wrapped them in a narrative of helplessness, pinned them to a timeline of trauma, and told the world they're defined by what was done to them, not by what they're becoming. But here's what nobody wants to admit: domestic violence survivors aren't victims waiting to be saved. They're warriors snatching their lives back from their captors with a ferocity that would make armies jealous. I had the profound honor of sitting down with Andrea Butler, a force of nature who's rewriting the entire conversation around domestic violence survival. Andrea isn't just changing lives, she's dismantling the broken language we use to talk about survival itself. She's standing in the gap for women who've been told their trauma is their identity. She's building bridges for sisters who've been walking through fire and told to smile while they burn. She's creating space for Black women, for all women, to drop the cape, set down the shield, and finally, breathe without apologizing for taking up oxygen. That's revolutionary work. That's sacred work. And what she shared with me during our conversation, it shook me to my core in the best possible way. Andrea said something that I need you to hear, really hear. Survivors are tenacious, fearless, and relentless warriors, not broken birds, not damaged goods, not charity cases, warriors. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good, because comfort is where truth goes to die. Here's the uncomfortable truth that we unpacked during our conversation: society loves a victim. Victims are easy to pity, easy to fundraise for, easy to put in a box labeled broken and move on. But warriors demand accountability. Warriors ask hard questions. Warriors don't just survive, they transform. And transformation is messy, loud, and inconvenient. When you see a survivor as a warrior, you have to acknowledge their strength. You have to respect their strategy. You have to honor the fact that leaving an abuser isn't weakness, it's the most courageous military operation a human being can execute. Think about it. A warrior doesn't just walk away from battle, a warrior plans. A warrior gathers intelligence. A warrior builds alliances. A warrior knows when to retreat, when to regroup, and when to strike. And that's exactly what survivors do every single day. Andrea helped me see three core lessons that every single one of us needs to internalize, whether we've survived domestic violence or we're supporting someone who has. First, embrace your inner warrior. Survivors aren't broken. You're not broken. You're rebuilding empires with fearless grit. Start today by naming one strength you've reclaimed, just one. Maybe it's your voice, maybe it's your bank account, maybe it's the ability to sleep through the night without fear. Name it, claim it, own it. Second, community fuels the fight. Link arms with support networks to turn personal battles into collective victories. Warriors don't fight alone, they fight in formation, and when one falls, the others lift her up. That's not weakness, that's strategy. Third, resilience rewrites narratives. Snatch back your power through bold action, therapy, legal steps, entrepreneurship, whatever it takes. Prove to yourself and the world that victims evolve into unstoppable leaders. Because that's not just inspiration, that's documentation. Now, let me share three stories that embody this warrior spirit so completely that their lives become manifestos. These are women who refuse to let their circumstances write their final chapter. These are women who looked trauma in the face and said, not today, not ever again. First, there's Ndakaite Matare from Zimbabwe. Born with disabilities in a resource scarce community, Ndakaite faced barriers to education, employment, and safety from the very beginning. Gender based violence compounded her isolation in a context where violence was normalized, where speaking up meant risking everything, where survival itself was a daily negotiation. But here's where the warrior emerged. She partnered with the UN EU Spotlight Initiative, received gender based violence awareness training, and built unity within disability support groups. She didn't wait for someone to hand her a microphone, she built her own stage. Today, Indakaite chairs that support group. She leads with a message that shakes the foundations of victimhood. We are capable if we unite. She rose from silenced survivor to community leader, igniting awareness campaigns that rallied dozens of women who had been told they were too broken, too disabled, too traumatized to matter. That's not a recovery story, that's a revolution. And her impact, she's empowered disabled Black women nationwide, boosting gender based violence reporting and prevention through community driven models. The Kaite didn't wait for someone to save her, she became the cavalry. Second, there's Tina from Haiti. In 2023, this young Black Haitian girl was kidnapped and repeatedly raped by a gang in a nation where 1 in 3 women face partner violence. As a minor, her isolation amplified her terror. She was trapped in a nightmare that most of us can't even imagine, in a place where the systems meant to protect her had crumbled under the weight of poverty, corruption, and violence. But the Spotlight Initiative provided comprehensive support: medical care, psychological care, housing, microfinance, skills training, and relocation. They didn't just rescue her, they rebuilt her foundation. Today, Tina breathes free. She dreams of a career in the police force, a profession dedicated to protecting others from the horror she endured. She's resumed her studies and gained skills in beauty and cooking for economic independence. From nightmare captive to determined dreamer, Tana made a relentless surge, trading chains for skills and vision in one bold leap. Her story is modeling survivor centered justice and influencing Haiti's gender based violence response for child survivors. Tana snatched her future back from her captors. That's warrior energy in its purest form. That's what it looks like when a girl decides that her trauma will not have the final word. Third, there's Nam An, a migrant woman from Myanmar working in Thailand. She endured 12 to 16-hour days for $3, illiteracy in Thai, harassment, and beatings for speaking up in abusive textile work. She fled Myanmar in 2003 for survival and found herself trapped in invisible exploitation. The kind that happens in plain sight, but no one wants to acknowledge because it's too convenient, too profitable, too embedded in the system. But spotlights campaigns, airport information desks, and trainings connected her to peers and built her negotiation power. They gave her something she'd never had before: a community of women who understood, who believed her, who refused to let her fight alone. Today, Namwan feels completely connected. She has hope for violence free work. She voices advocacy for millions of migrant women who are still trapped in the shadows. From silenced laborer to connected advocate, Namwan forged sisterhood that toppled abuse's grip with shared stories. Her impact: advanced protections for migrant women and reduced gender based violence in labor sectors. Namwan didn't just escape, she organized, she weaponized her pain into policy change. These 3 women, Ndakaite, Tina, Namwan, they're not anomalies. They're not exceptional cases that we point to and say, well, that's nice for them, but that's not realistic for everyone else. No, they're the norm when we stop treating survivors like victims and start treating them like the warriors they are. And here's what Andrea Butler helped me understand: if more people, more organizations, more communities adopted this warrior lens, we'd shatter stigma overnight. Reporting would skyrocket. We're already seeing it in places like Malta, where reports rose by 5.7% to 3,798 cases in 2024. Better shelters, better justice systems, all of it flips underreporting on its head. Communities would unite like those spotlight groups, slashing gender based violence through empowered prevention. Black women leaders would build unbreakable networks of support, accountability, and transformation. But here's the thing, and Andrea was crystal clear about this. This shift doesn't happen in boardrooms first. It happens in mirrors. It happens when a woman looks at herself and says, I'm not what happened to me, I'm what I'm becoming. That's the shift we're talking about. It's not about being delicate, it's about being deliberate. It's about high achieving Black women, especially those between 38 and 55, who've spent years in survival mode, finally choosing to shift from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. Andrea Butler's work intersects perfectly with this mission because she's helping women drop the superwoman cape. She's teaching them that softness is not weakness, it's a radical act of self love. She's giving them permission to say no without guilt, to set boundaries without apology, to rest without explanation. And that's what warriors do when the battle is over. They rest, they heal, they rebuild. Not because they're weak, but because they're wise. Andrea reminded me that healing from trauma isn't linear, it's not a checklist, it's a practice. And part of that practice is redefining strength. For too long, we've been told that strength means silence. That strength means endurance. That strength means carrying everyone else's burdens while our own bones crack under the weight. But Andrea's redefining strength as the courage to be soft in a world that taught you survival. Strength is protecting your peace as a practice. Strength is turning your survival into something sacred that supports others. Strength is saying, I've been through hell and I'm not going back, and I'm taking as many sisters with me as I can carry. That's purpose beyond pain. That's healing in real time. That's embracing softness while still being a warrior. And if you're hearing this and thinking, but I'm not strong enough, let me stop you right there. You're breathing, aren't you? You're here, aren't you? You survived yesterday. That makes you strong enough. That makes you a warrior. The question isn't whether you're strong enough. The question is, are you ready to stop apologizing for your strength? Because Andrea Butler isn't apologizing. Ndakatai Matari isn't apologizing. Tina isn't apologizing. Namwan isn't apologizing. And neither should you. This is the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. This is the warrior era. This is your era. So here's what I need from you, and I need it today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. I need you to stop waiting for the world to see you as a warrior and start seeing yourself as one. I need you to stop waiting for validation from people who don't understand your battle and start validating yourself. I need you to stop waiting for the perfect moment to reclaim your life because the perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is always now. Look around you. Look at the women in your life who are still fighting. Look at the women who are still silent. Look at the women who are still carrying capes they never asked for. And then ask yourself, what am I going to do about it? Are you going to join a support circle? Are you going to mentor a sister? Are you going to make that therapy appointment you've been putting off for months? Are you going to file that restraining order? Are you going to open that savings account? Are you going to have that conversation you've been avoiding because it's easier to stay quiet than to disrupt the peace? Because here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Your silence protects your abuser. Your silence protects the system. Your silence protects everyone except you. Warriors don't protect their captors. Warriors break free and then they turn around and break the chains off everyone else. So I'm asking you today, right now, in this moment, what's your one bold step? What's the one thing you're going to do today that your past self would be terrified to do? What's the one boundary you're going to set? What's the one person you're going to reach out to? What's the one dream you're going to stop postponing? Because Andrea Butler's out here doing the work. Nakaiti is doing the work. Tina is doing the work. Namwan is doing the work. And they need you to do the work too. This isn't a spectator sport. This isn't something you watch from the sidelines and applaud politely. This is a movement. This is a revolution. And revolutions require warriors. So stop calling them victims. Stop calling yourself a victim. Start calling yourself what you are, a warrior who's been through hell and came out the other side with fire in your eyes and purpose in your heart. Warriors don't apologize for breathing. Warriors don't apologize for taking up space. Warriors don't apologize for demanding better, for expecting more, for refusing to settle for survival when they were built for victory. You are not a victim. You are a warrior, and the world is waiting for you to act like it.